Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of Behind Enemy Lines Hockey Podcast. We're at the point now where we're 10 games in on the year, and we're going to do a season update. We're going to discuss basically, the players individually, players as a whole, where we're at, what we think we should be, what we can do better, and maybe what we can't do better, maybe what's going better than expected. So with that, we're not going to have a game breakdown. It's going to be just basically all about the team right now. And as always, I want to welcome my good friend and not hockey referee, Steve.
Well, it's good to be at this point in the season, co-hosting yet another episode. Hopefully, as these things go on, some of this stuff is as relevant as what we talk about. We're not going to get into too much, but we're on the verge of one of us being right in a prediction, so that we'll have to talk about in the next episode. But let's dig into where we are, what's surprising, what's not surprising, what's working, what's not working, and who's trending in what direction, and how does that impact our team.
Mhm. So on that note, as always, we're going to get started off with today's trivia question.
So today's trivia question is a by the numbers type of trivia. So through our 10 games, Nick Suzuki has now a 9-game point streak. So what Hab holds the longest consecutive game point streak in Hab's history?
As we talked about earlier, we're going to start a new segment. So every day we're going to do, or every episode, we're going to have Steve do a trivia question. Um, But I'm going to start doing our Mitch Marner report. We had talked about, Aristotle's theory of cause and effect, which ties in perfect with Mitch Marner because right now, as of recording of this episode, he's got 2 goals, 8 assists for Las Vegas. So he's doing very well, pretty much what we expected. And he's not doing it for the Leafs, and the Leafs need it desperately, and he's not there to give it to them.
And it shows in their current standings,
Mhm.
because last year I think they were off to maybe a 7-3 or an 8-2 start to the year, and they are not doing that. So
They're four,
if
four,
it's
and
any,
one right now, I think.
yeah, if it's any indication in Leafland, Joseph Wall is due to come back. Maybe Oasis can have another chorus of the Wonder Wall,
Yeah,
because I wonder where the wall is half the
yeah,
time. And Caden Primo is holding down the fort for the Leafs
yeah,
instead of Stoley, who's
yeah.
been a
And
backup
and
goalie his whole life. But
and whether you like it or not, the Leafs are not the same team without Mitch Marner. That's basically our point.
agreed,
That's
agreed. And
basically what we're getting at. So right
and
now,
we're gonna remind Leaf fans about that all the
on
time.
the reg, yeah. So basically, what we're going to jump into here is our season update. Um, right now we're 7-3. We have 14 points. We're actually tied for the league lead in points, although we've played 10 games. The other two teams that have 14 points have played 9 and 8 games. That would be New Jersey and Seattle, I believe it was, believe it or not. Um, so I think we're doing very well. We're off to a good start. Um, Better than what the experts have said, but not us. We've kind of been saying since day one that we've been expecting this kind of play out of the Habs.
Right. We talked about this in one of our early episodes, and we'd have to dig back through 3 pages in the vault to get those numbers. But we predicted Montreal would challenge for the division. You had them winning the division. I had them close, right up there, and ahead of Toronto. And right now, early numbers are, like you say, 14 points for 10 games.
Mhm.
If you take that 14 points and multiply it by 8, we would be 114 points or 112 points, whatever that number is
Mhm.
off the top of my head. 90 points gets you into the playoffs, more or less. It's not a guarantee because that could fluctuate, but traditionally 90 points gets you into the playoffs.
Mhm.
So if we truck along at 85% of what we're currently doing now, we're on pace to make the playoffs.
Mhm.
Not putting the cart before the horse. And if you got a seat on St. Catharines and some poutine ready, I'm going to be there for the parade. So
Mhm.
I'm going to sound like a Leaf fan. You book it, Dano. We're in.
Yeah, and that references back to another thing that you and I have both talked about in previous episodes, it's better to get your wins and bank them now instead of fighting for them later in the year, which makes a difference of getting that 90, 92, 94 points, which you're going to need to get into the playoffs. So getting into, and I think you did some research on comparisons for last year's start and this year's start, which really only proves our point.
Right. And it's really, we've talked about this before. It's not how you start, but it's really how you finish.
Mhm.
But the how you start could lay the groundwork, and we will do this every 10 games. We'll do a where are we now and where were we last year. Believe it or not, last year we started the year 4 wins, 5 losses, and 1 overtime or shootout loss.
Mhm.
So, essentially 4-6 for lack of a better term, but the stat line will be 4-5-1. So we are 3 wins ahead. So we're 6 points ahead of last year's pace,
Mhm.
which it's a good place for us to be in. We're getting ready to play game 11 against Seattle. This time last year, game 10 was against Seattle. Surprise, surprise.
Mhm.
And for those of you that aren't old and senile like me, we lost that game to Seattle 8-2, and it was every bit as ugly as the score sounded. I watched the game. My wife said to me, "You're going to keep watching this," as Seattle scored goal after goal. It was absolutely painful.
Mhm.
But again, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. We ended up going on quite a bender late the season. And, we've talked about this before about Suzuki going to management and saying, don't trade, don't trade, don't sell, don't sell. We want to make this work. And subsequently, we made the playoffs.
Mhm.
So let's hope that with this 7-3 start, mini Western road trip going to come to a finish and go back home for a Saturday night home game. But it's encouraging because we have started on much better terms and numbers this year.
Okay, and just a little bit adding to that, and I don't want to go too deep into it because that will be for a, future episode, as you say, where are we 20 games in kind of thing. But that Seattle loss was the beginning of a 6 game losing streak for us that really, really hurt us bad as far as where we were in the standings and team mentality and everything else. So, like I said, just want to bring that up as to let you know, what happened. But I would agree, banking points, getting them in now makes it easier later on in the year for sure. What I want to do right now is I want to we're going to jump back and forth on basically analyzing particular parts of the team and impact and things like that. And I think right now I want to start with injuries because this seems to be an ongoing thing, and I don't know why. Is maybe it's just because we're Habs fans and we notice it more, but Montreal seems to be getting plugged with the injury bug a little more than other teams. Right now we've got Gouli out for uh, 4 weeks, I believe it is. We've got Reinbacher, who was out 4 weeks with the broken bone in the hand, and I think he's set to come back this week or next week. Doc is back in right now, but wait and see.
For how long, we don't know.
That could change. The sun rises and sets. Doc isn't injured or not. It's the same thing. But the big note is the Laine injury out 3 to 4 months with a surgery, core muscle surgery.
Like you say, injuries are unfortunately part of the game. I guess one of the surprising stats is you'd like to find the microcosm is why. Is it guys aren't doing strength and conditioning? Is it guys aren't taking pregame seriously? Are they not game day ready? Are they not sleeping? Are they not eating? Are they not doing proper reconditioning in between games? We have been known to have one of the best ice surfaces in the league, so it's not like we're playing on shitty ice where these guys are bumping and going in the wrong direction because the ice is in terrible shape. Montreal is known to have great ice, one of the best ice surfaces in the NHL. So why the injuries? Again, how does one suffer a core muscle tear?
Mm-hmm.
Is it lack of conditioning? Did he get hit the wrong way and he just didn't brace for something, or he tried to rebalance based on his strength and he tore a muscle?
Mm-hmm.
Again, we can break this down. That's not what this episode is about. We're not trying to microanalyze, but we are starting to go through injuries. Every team's got them. It's unfortunately part of the game. It's can we micromanage our roster for the depth that we have to bridge the gap until those guys come back? Because that does one of two things, in my opinion. One, it gives every player that didn't make opening day roster a chance to play. So Joe Valeno playing every day now.
Mhm.
This is his put up or shut up time, because if he doesn't have a good 6, 7, 8, 10 game tryout, he could find himself as the 2025-2026 Michael Pezzetta. And
Yeah.
nobody wants to be known that way. And Michael Pezzetta doesn't even want to be known that way.
Yeah.
But that's the reality. But we're fortunate that we have players that have waiver eligibility, that we can send them down and call them back up. So we're able to float a few extra guys, reward them in the minors, call them up, let them play, let them travel, let them be part of something. So that gives them that carrot to work, a dangled carrot to work forward, to try and this is what it takes to get into this lineup. This is the difference in coaching and preparation and road trips at this level versus the other in the AHL. So, you could get a lot of good beneficial things out of injuries, although I don't wish it on anybody.
Mhm. Yeah.
To be fair,
So with the injuries, I think Gooley hurts us, although I think we're solid enough on our defense. Like I think right now, personally, biased, unbiased, whatever, I think our six best defensemen are the six best defensemen in the NHL right now. Individually, there are better defensemen, but as a six-man core unit, Montreal, as far as I'm concerned, has the best defense. The Reinbacher injury doesn't really hurt us because we haven't had him all year. It sort of helped the management and the coaching staff make an easier decision on who was going to play. When he does come back, could that be potentially problems? I don't know. Kirby Doc, like you say, it's, you know, what day is it today, whether he's hurt or not. I think since he's been back, I don't see him as being impactful in the lineup anyways. So I've said it before, the Kirby Doc experiment is over as far as I'm concerned. Get rid of him. And
he
Line
could.
A, same thing. Line A is not doing anything anyways. He's on the
Right.
final year of a deal. You know, he's over in Montreal as far as I'm concerned. I hear all these pundits and experts, and I watch other podcasts where they talk about, would you sign Line A to a smaller contract if he wants to stay? No, he's done. I don't care if he wants to play for league minimum. That's a valuable spot that can be used by somebody else
Right.
that's going to
Right.
produce a lot more.
Yeah, and that you're not wrong. I mean, let's go back to Kirby Doc. He could use a universal bathroom, roll out of bed tomorrow with a yeast infection. I
Yeah,
mean, that wouldn't surprise me.
yeah.
Because if it's going to happen to a guy, it's going to happen to that guy.
Mhm.
So is he not doing his strength and conditioning? He's a tall guy who's not got tons of meat on his body. I mean, I can show him how to eat in the off season. I mean, my doctor says I'm in shape, round, but
Yeah.
maybe he's got to put a bit more meat on his bones to protect himself. Um, but I still think he serves a point when he's in our lineup. I'd like to see him be in the lineup more than I'd like to see him out of the lineup.
Mhm.
But I am going to tend to agree as we start to go through the evaluation of talent, when depth has to be questioned and utilized at that point. A guy like Patrick Laine, if he doesn't come back and blow the barn doors off of his performance, he is on the first ticket out of town and probably back to Finland,
Mhm.
because he's got a reputation through the league. He's played in Winnipeg, Columbus, and now with us. And, he falls into the mentally lazy trap, I'm going to say, because the skill is there.
Mhm.
But who wants to put up with the high school drama?
Mhm.
This isn't Degrassi Junior High for all you Canadian people out there with a little bit of a throwback. We left that there. He's got to get better, prove his worth, and move forward where he's earned a spot in the lineup. He's given one now because he's getting paid 8.7 million. He's been given a spot because we're paying him the money.
Mhm.
So I'm trending in that direction, that his performance has got to be better,
Mhm.
and if not, he's not coming back.
Yeah. And I'll agree. When he's on his game, he's lights out. There's not too many people better than him. There's not, what I mean, but it just seems lately, injuries, whatever it is, and this is just a repeating pattern from, his other NHL years. And I think you might be right. Could be his last kick at the can with Montreal, but his last kick at the can with any NHL team. Finland could be, the next stop for him.
Which is sad. I mean, I don't want to see any guy run out of the league.
Mhm.
That's not this. I mean, we all have players on other teams that we hate and love to see them get hurt before they play us, because they hurt us if they play.
Mhm.
So But I think with Mr. Line, he's burning his bridges game by game, year
Mhm.
by year. And at some point, there's not going to be an NHL general manager that says, I have a good thing in my room,
Mhm.
and these 18 guys can win this guy over.
Yeah.
It's shit or get off the pot.
Yeah.
And if this is a roadside construction porta potty, he's stuck in the shitter because it
Yeah.
ain't gonna work out.
Yeah. Doors locked, trucks backed up against it. Um,
Yeah.
so on that, injuries are injuries. Like you say, it happens with every team, and it happens through. I think we're have the roster and the talent now that it doesn't hurt us like it has in past years. Having said that, let's move on to I think you'll probably agree with me. The hottest topic right now in the Montreal dressing room is the goaltenders. Has Dobish become number one?
Well, you and I were talking in between episodes here as we're getting ready to do this one, and we talk about should Dobish get the next start. I mean, we are coming off game number 10. He has played two of the three games on the road, and he is 5-0 to start the year.
Mhm.
Last year he started the year 6-0. But I'm going to guess his 5 games this year are a lot sooner in the schedule than his games last year. Well, considering Primo started the year as our other goalie last year before he came in, we know that he wasn't around early. But we don't play again for we have a couple days off between Vancouver and Seattle.
Mhm.
Is that 2 or 3 days off enough to go back to the well one more time and say, let's ride the hot hand? If I'm Marty St. Louis, I want to do it because the kids earned it.
Mhm.
Part of me is afraid to do it because you think, okay, you want to bring Dobish home and give him a Saturday night start. So should we just throw Monty to Seattle and hopefully at some point one of these things should be the proverbial light bulb that goes off that says I've got to do better. Because if you go to Monty and he loses and you go back and Dobish wins again on the Saturday against Ottawa, then what are you doing?
Mhm.
Right? So the easy thing would be is Monty, you gotta. My guess is Monty's playing against Seattle because he hasn't played in a couple of days. And if you
Mhm.
don't play him now, then he's got 9 days off in between starts. And
Mhm.
ideally, that's not good for any goalie.
Mhm. So I think um I think you might be right. I think they might be giving Sam another chance, and for what a personal opinion's worth, I have no idea why. I mean, if you just look at his numbers, their goals against average is Dobesh right now is 1.77. Montembeault is 3.82. Save percentage. Dobesh has a .940 save percentage. Montembeault has a .842. So a full point difference in the save percentage and two full goal differential points in their differential. So as far as our bet of 3-1 and 2-2. I hope Sammy plays because then I'll be right. But on the other
You,
hand, I
you
hope he
might
doesn't
be
play,
right. Hey,
and I want you to be right on the 3-1.
yeah, but a broken clock is still right twice a day. And Monty could still play and win.
Yeah.
So you never know.
I'm not optimistic. Let's say that.
Yeah, I hate to see a guy in a slump, especially when he's on our team. But and you touched on this, in a previous episode. These are numbers that Caden Primo had last year, and we ran him out of town,
Mhm.
and we weren't shy in doing so.
Mhm.
There wasn't one guy that said, "I feel bad for him." It's like, get him the fuck out of here because he's not helping us.
Mhm.
It's all about wins and losses in the standings at the end of the day. Feelings don't mean anything.
Mhm.
Sorry if that offends anybody, but we got to win hockey games, right? That we are cheering for a game. We're not cheering for the guy's feelings. I as much as I want Lane Hudson to score a hat trick and have the game of his life, I don't care if he feels bad that he didn't. Did we win the hockey game?
Mhm. Yeah.
First and foremost, did the logo on the front get 2 points?
Yeah.
The guy's name on the back, he'll get his just desserts eventually,
Mhm.
and that comes with the goaltenders as well.
Yeah. So I think on that note, when we had talked about Montembeault getting, or sorry, Primo uh, getting run out of town and fans not feeling bad, it's going to be the same thing. Primo had many chances. He had all the opportunities in the world to prove himself. I mean, he played. two or three stints up with the big club, went back down to Laval for conditioning, whatever, came back up. So he had plenty of opportunity. And Montembeau's in the same boat. They've given him every chance to win. If he can't do it, it's on him and nobody else but him. So he can't complain.
Right. And, the last thing you want is a disgruntled guy in the dressing room. And if, Monty up until last year he played in the Four Nations Cup. He didn't dress, but he was on the roster, still an accomplishment, far greater in the game than I will ever get.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, if you run him out of town now, you're running his confidence in the ground. So we better have a backup plan. And secondarily, what are we going to get for him? If we publicly trounce the man,
Mhm.
and the coaching staff throws him to the Sharks, what are we getting for him? We're not getting anything.
Mhm.
He will be almost an untradeable contract. So I hope he plays. I hope he plays well against Seattle. I hope he puts this behind him, and then Dobish comes back on Saturday night.
Mhm. So I just want to sum up the goalies quickly before we move on to the next topic. I don't see Sam getting traded because I think he's got zero trade value. Like you couldn't take him out to the concourse and trade him for nachos and cheese. I just think he's that bad. The problem is, uh, like you say, if you're not going to trade him, what are you going to get for him? We're not trading him. I just think it's going to be reversed. Whereas we talked about earlier in the year, the goalie split, and Dobish playing the back to backs to give Sammy a break. And I just think it's going to be opposite. I think you're going to end up seeing Dobish playing the 50, 60 games and Sammy being the resting 20, 25, 30 games guy. And I think that's really all the best we can hope for right now because he doesn't have the stats to back it up. He's got a contract that he's in the 3.8 million per year, I think, 3.5. Nobody's taking that on right now as he stands right now. I mean, the best we could hope for is to get rid of him, retain all of his salary, and open up a slot that we can use somewhere later. But like you say, who are you going to put in there?
Right. Well, I mean, we have, and we don't want to beat the goalies up for 20 minutes, but we have
It'd be
Kakinen in the
easy to
minors.
do.
Yeah, we have Kakinen in the minors. And we have Fowler.
Yeah.
Fowler, I'd like to give more time. I would hope that he would ride the whole year down there.
Mhm.
Maybe after the All-Star breaks and the Olympic break and whatnot, he could get in a couple of games just to see what he could do.
Mhm.
If Kakinen's doing well in the Val, he could be your backup. But like anything else, who are we sending Monty to? We would have to hope an organization has two goalie injuries that would be willing to take on Monty because he's better than nothing. So I hope he wins and plays well, regains his confidence. But Dobish is hotter. We ride the hotter hand, and then we're trading Monty, and we're just saying we've given the net to somebody else. Not we can't give this guy the net.
Yeah.
So it's really a 6 of one, half dozen the other on presentation, but presentation goes a long way when we're talking about moving a contract.
Yeah, I agree. He's not the guy, but I think we're stuck with him for now, and we just got to make do with the best we can. So on the next topic, I think we touched a little bit about it. Uh, on the standings, as you know, Montreal
Well,
is tied for
let,
first, but quickly, it wasn't Seattle, it's Utah is the other team they're tied with. But if you just look strictly at our conference, New Jersey's first with 14 points in 8 games. We're second with 14 points in 10 games. But if you scroll as you remember the friendly giant, hey, for those of us in the Ontario, if you scroll way down, go down and down. Remember he used to say that?
yeah,
If you go all the way down to 12th place in the conference, you find the Leafs at 4-4-1.
and let's hope that trend continues
Mhm.
because nothing speaks great numbers like a team on the downfall.
Yeah.
But we talk about this, but let's talk about why are we having success? What's working for us?
Which
You
leads us
know,
to our next point, which I was going to get to, is the players.
yeah. So let's talk. I'll start with the first one. We are not surprised at Cole Caulfield,
Mhm.
right? Here's a guy that through 10 games, if there's a game on the line and a guy that needs to score a goal for some reason, that guy's got a puck on a stick. It's like a yo-yo. He just finds a way to get it back, and get it in the net. He's got 7 goals through 10 games, which is great numbers for him. It's almost a goal per game. You take that over an 82 game season, he's on a 57 to 60 goal pace,
Mhm.
which would be a massive career high. Is he likely to do this all year? I would love him to be honest. But I think even if he has a moderate drop off, he still is going to clip 50 goals. Like
Yeah.
he's on that kind of a pace.
And he's tied right now for third in goals with 7. It's only Shane Pinto and Jack Hughes are ahead of them with 8, but I mean there's 2, 4, 6, 7 players with 7 goals. And over the year that number is going to stretch out, but it is early, and we've always said this, we're qualifying statements, it's early, it's early. We're just enjoying the ride while we can. But I heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, that his mom and dad changed his name to Clutch Goldfield instead of Cole Caulfield. I just heard that. I just heard the rumor.
Yeah, and it would not surprise me nonetheless
Yeah,
because the clutch goals are definitely there.
yeah. Um, which is going to take us probably to the number one guy, the heart and soul of the team. Everybody knows Nick Suzuki. Um, he's having a great start to his year. He's tied for 5th in scoring in the NHL right now, 2 goals, 11 assists for 13 points. And I think he's actually right up there as far as assists go. He's tied for 2nd with assists. Malkin, the ageless wonder, has got 12. Suzuki's got 11. And again, this just adds to the lore that is Nick Suzuki. He goes to management and says, keep the team together. And, he stuffs them in his backpack and carries them across the fish line. And he's starting off basically right where he left off last year.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give a throwback shout out credit to Shea Weber on this. Honestly,
Mhm.
when the trade was made and we got rid of PK Subban, who I was a big fan of PK. I liked his flamboyancy and his energy and his passion. Um, we brought in a different guy to be captain of this franchise. And Shea Weber brought a calming, professional outlook and one of a different preparatory level. That had to have rubbed off on Nick Suzuki. Nick Suzuki was always a good player. He was a great player in junior, but it seemed that he elevated that level of his game. He's not a guy that takes tons of penalties. He's usually got his feet moving, you know, and the guy just works hard. And again, building on one good year. This is a Olympic year. He was not on the Four Nations Cup radar, which I thought was a crying shame. But I know now he's forefront on almost every Canadian broadcaster and Canadian hockey GM, anybody who's involved in the Olympic selection, his name is coming up more times than it's not.
Mhm. And you touched on the Shea Weber aspect of it, and I don't remember the exact positioning, but it's my understanding that when Weber came in to the team and he had started to make his prime, they actually had his stall close to Suzuki's so he could coach him and teach him and learn, and Suzuki could see what he was doing, and he could get that boost. Um, and I think they knew all along that Suzuki was going to be the captain of the team, and what better guy to show you the ropes than Shea Weber, right?
Yeah, and again, I'll give my one shout out. I know this might make Vinny Marino lay down in the fetal position in his bedroom crying when I mentioned this, but Mark Bergevin did do us a good one on that one.
Yeah,
Let's give
yeah,
credit where credit's due.
yeah, yeah, and statistically, some people know this, some people maybe don't. Since the Four Nations break last year, Nick Suzuki is actually leading the league in scoring. He's got in 30 plus games, he's got 47 points and he's a plus 22. So again, since the
which
40,
is on par for a 100 point season.
yeah, which I predicted earlier this year he was
Yeah,
going to get
yeah,
100 points. And right now, if you do the basic math analytics at 11 points right now in 10 games, he's on pace for, I think it was 104, 105 points, or it was more than that. Is he going to keep up this pace? I don't think so. It would be nice. I'd like to see it happen, but realistically,
maybe
all players go through, some bad streaks and some hot streaks. It's just the nature of the game, unless your name is Wayne Gretzky.
yeah. Let's hope he gets on a hotter streak, and instead of getting a point per game, he starts getting 2 and 3.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna. Is there anybody in particular, another player you wanted to talk about before I
Yeah,
go on to my list?
I've got one. I'm sure it's probably on your list as well. And before we dive into the two rookies that we have, because they are going to be two of the next guys that we're going to talk about.
Mhm,
Let's just talk about Lane Hudson. You
mhm.
know, started the year off. I won't say slow, but maybe slow by fan expectation and media criticism. Comes off a Calder Trophy winning season and has a little bit of a public contract dispute with the Habs. I don't know where one side got bad information or speculation from the other. His dad gets involved. He signs a contract, and he's only elevated his play since.
Yeah,
So I think through 10 games, I think he's got 11 points, if I'm not mistaken. He's right on that. He's right on that point per game pace.
9 points.
Uh, 9 points. So
Yeah.
we played 10 games. You carry that through. That will be an improvement based on his rookie numbers last year. So,
Mhm.
again, a guy trending in the right direction, and we saw what he did down the stretch last year. He gets hot and look out.
Yeah. And he's got 9 points, and he's only second to that other guy. That guy, he's a not bad defenseman, that Cal McCarr guy. He's not bad. He's got 11 points. Lane Hudson's got 9. So he's
That's
right up
that's
there. And if you look at the guys Hudson's ahead of, Gostis Bear, Thomas Horley, Victor Hedman, he's in some good company. So it's not like he's, not earning it, right?
some Norris Trophy winners, some Olympians, and some perennial All Stars.
Yeah.
And just for the record, we know that hockey south of the border has more teams, but their management can't find a spot in the Olympic roster for that guy.
Yeah.
As
That's
much as
listen,
I don't,
on a selfish note,
yes,
I hope he doesn't play. I hope they overlook Suzuki. I hope they overlook Caulfield because I would take the rest all day. Now, I know these guys want to play,
yeah,
and it would be exciting, but imagine what that 2 week rest would do for them, for
it,
our team and our selfish persons, our selfish needs.
going down the stretch line. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah. Um,
So
the two guys I want to talk about obviously are the rookies, Demidov and Kapanen. Um, Real quick
let's talk
notes.
about Kapanen. Let's talk about Kapanen first.
Okay, so Kapanen right now is actually tied for third in rookie scoring, with Zeev Boom and Matthew Schaefer, um, with 7 points. Kapanen has 4 goals, 3 assists, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he's leading rookies in goal scoring. Yeah, he's tied with another guy, Emmett Finney, for 4 goals for the rookie
From Detroit.
scoring.
Yeah.
Um, Points wise, though, I mean, you know very well, I've been on the Oliver Kapanen bandwagon for a little better than a year and a half, 2 years now. I said he was going to be good. I said he's going to be our 2C. I had a lot of people say I was crazy. Oh, he's not a true 2C. But these are the same people that saying Suzuki wasn't a 1C. So I don't, I take that for what it's worth. I just, he's exceeded my expectations, and I think he could get 60 points this year.
Yeah, I think he's exceeded. I mean, he's definitely exceeded mine. I mean, when you come into camp and you play well in preseason and it forces the hands of others, it's was he going to end up as a 2 seed or was he going to end up as a 4 seed? Because I don't think we really knew what his true potential was. He played overseas. He's
I
used to
knew.
playing against men.
I knew.
Um, we'll see 2-2. But we'll say the talent was there. It's just whether or not he's slotted in performance based as such a young player.
Mm,
And he had 4 goals early.
mm,
And some good goals. It's not like he was standing in front of the net and a Zach Bolduc shot hit a goalie, hit him in the pant and bounced in the net. This kid's scoring some goals.
mm,
And it's good when you have self-proclaimed status in the game where he's proving his worth. He's
mm,
doing every bit of that.
mm.
So, and as a franchise, our depth being young already, youngest team in the league, these young guys are proving. And if you listen to broadcasters, if you're streaming sports like I do, and sometimes you can't, they only have one feed in one of these platforms. You listen to the other team's feed, they have nothing but praise for our franchise.
Mhm.
The Leaf podcasters are crying right now because they have been saddled with the Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander, Riley core, and they're all getting paid way more money than ours. And we're
Mhm.
adding to this core, adding guys that are producing young and we're winning hockey games. And these guys are going to be around for years.
Yeah, they're locked up long term. I think that's the thing that um I like the most is these guys are locked up for 5, 6, 7 years. So I mean, if they start winning now, you could be seeing, the potential for another, dynasty. I mean, I know, listen, it's a different game. It's a long way down the road, but the potential is there.
Yes, and that's the whole purpose, right? We've seen some of these guys give the proverbial hometown discount. They're not hometown Montreal guys giving discounts, but they're drafted into the franchise, want to be here, and they're signing for term. We talked about this before. Cause and effect of why does one player all of a sudden want to play there? Hudson and Caulfield, young Americans, are loving this team. They're a fun team. They play well together. They have chemistry. They're best buddies off the ice. Hopefully that translates into winning more games and not just having fun at them. But right now, early numbers and trends from last year into this year, we couldn't ask for a better bumper crop of young kids.
Mm-hmm. And on that, I'm gonna let you lead off. I'm gonna let you take this one, but we're gonna go into the other rookie, um, Ivan Demidov or Demigod as he's referred to. Just real quick, he's got 2 goals, 7 assists. He's leading all rookies right now with 9 points. He's leading in assists with 7 assists. I expect those goals numbers to jump up a little bit, but again, I got nothing praised for this young kid.
So we're doing this episode following the Vancouver game, which he had a goal and 2 assists, so a big multi-point game for him. And again, you say it, 19 years old, and the patience of a 10-year veteran. Some of the passes he's making, some of the shots he's taking, he's not just shooting a puck for the sake of shooting a puck. He's just not throwing a blind pass. If you watch this guy with the puck, he is glancing over both shoulders before he does a hard turn.
Yeah.
This kid is so game aware of the surroundings and the players beating down on him that it's just absolutely impressive. Some of the passes. And again, please, and the hockey gods, please don't rain down too much curse on me. It's Gretzky-esque.
Yeah.
The patience that he has with the puck, and he puts it where he's trying to put it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 19-year-old kid's going to make bad passes. You go through Gretzky film and you'll probably find the same thing. But this guy is something special, and again, the numbers don't lie. And I'm going to break down a few sets of numbers here. 10 games, 9 points. He's on pace for 72 points.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is almost a point per game. Let's look at the last 5 rookie scoring leaders in the last 5 years. Wayne Hudson last year, 66 points. Connor Bedard the year before was 61. Matty Beniers in Seattle with 57. Believe it or not, this is one that will probably boggle your mind. Michael Bunting with 63.
Wow. Michael who?
Yeah, right. Yeah, he did well in Toronto, riding shotgun along Austin Matthews and some other guy named Mitch Marner. I don't think we've ever mentioned him before. And then the 5 years ago, Kirill Kaprizov from Minnesota was 51 points. Now he only played 55 games that year, so kind of on the same numbers that Demigod has got going on right now. So this kid's a special one, to be in company of those guys, and these guys all won Calder trophies, and they've been in all-star games, and this is the kind of numbers that Demidov has given us. And again, not a Canadian kid, not an American kid, struggling to come over to this country, learn a different language, move to the other side of the world. The guy is just embracing every opportunity, and we will talk about it. He's not getting power play one time. He's starting to, but the kid is just proving his worth, and we are the true benefits of watching. He might be the most naturally gifted player we've had since Kovalev with the puck.
Yeah, yeah, and that's some pretty high company. You had mentioned about his prowess on the ice, his patience, and all that stuff. For reference to that, I mentioned it earlier. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to look at that pass that he made to Matheson for the OT winner in Calgary. But again, if you want to go back to even the Vancouver game we just had, the goal Nick Suzuki scored in the first period was because of a fantastic pass from Demidov. I mean, the puck came to him and he sort of did a fake shot. Again, that cross crease pass, put it through about 8 sets of legs, it seemed like, right on the tape, and it was just a bang bang, Nicky, you got a goal. I mean, again, 19 years old, to have the patience and the wherewithal to do it, like, see it. I mean, seeing it is one thing, but doing it is another. And I think he just checks all the boxes right now.
And doing it over and over
Yeah.
because he did it to set up Matheson, then he's doing it to set up Suzuki, and then he's doing it to score a goal. Like, again, it's not a one-off. This is, we are going to sound like broken records after a dozen more of these episodes of where are we and how are we doing. It's going to be Demidov is going to be front and center in all these conversations, and we can go down other player stats. I think all but two guys on the team have scored at least one goal, so that's impressive. One of them being Brendan Gallagher, surprisingly enough. Him and Arbor Jacki are two Habs that do not have goals if we're talking numbers. But through the lineup, we're getting balance and we're getting it in nightly scenarios where we don't have to depend on one guy. And that's the greatest thing, is when you have depth and balance, that you can not have to count on your number one line or your number two line to be the cog in the motor that's getting you there. We have a lot. We have many horses doing the work right now.
Yeah. And I don't want to say I owe an apology to somebody, because I'm not really sure uh, who I would owe it to, but I wasn't too high on Gallagher this year. He is on the downside of his career. He is slowing down. He's in that point where, how many more years does he have left? I'll be honest, I thought he was done. But it's like he's playing like a 25-year-old again. He's feisty. He's not, sure, he's not banging up the goals and the assists or whatever, but he's doing the things he needs to do without doing that, and he's become a pretty important cog in this team right now.
Yeah, I think he's up to 5 or 6 assists if memory serves me right.
Mhm.
He's he's been instrumental in heavy forechecks lately and
Mhm.
turning pucks over. And again, you'd like to see him score 20 because he did last year. And how many more years does he get 40 or 50 points? But um, nobody questions the heart. He's got it and will continue to give it as long as he's got the C on the front of the shirt.
Mhm.
So, props to Galley.
Mhm.
Super nice guy. Met him in Arizona. Gave me all kinds of time standing there outside of the arena. But again, a little bit of a rejuvenation, and the youth movement has to help.
Yeah, and he's got a contract right now that people, and again, at the beginning of the year, he's 6.5 million for this year and again for next year. And going into this year, if I would have said that 6.5 million was an overpay, but at the way he's playing right now, I'm quite happy with the 6.5. I think he's playing up to his salary right now.
Yeah, I would agree.
Um, on that, we're gonna go into final thoughts. Uh,
Well, I just want to just add one more quick thing. I mean, we talk about Hudson last year winning the Calder,
mhm,
and we just talked about three of our rookies. We have Demidov, who's off to a great start. We have Captain, whose goaltending goal scoring numbers are fantastic. We have Dobish and net.
mhm,
Dobish is still Calder Trophy eligible because he didn't meet the number of games last year.
mhm,
So with him and Finney in Detroit and Schaefer in New York, they've got to be three of the five guys in the running for the Calder right now.
mhm. Yeah,
It's a good time. I mean, it's a good time to watch these young kids
yeah.
play.
There's some
You know,
exciting
and and
hockey. Yeah.
and nobody would have said, everybody would have gave the Calder to Demidov at the beginning of the year, but nobody would have had the other two as being hot and heavy right down his back.
In the conversation. Yeah, because right now, Dobesh is second in the league with goals against average at 1.77, which we already mentioned, and he's actually tied for first with Rittich out of New York with save percentage .940. So he's listen, if he's got the numbers to win the Vesna, who's to say he doesn't have the numbers for the Calder too, right? It only makes sense.
Yeah, and those are surprising, unsurprising. Let's just hope, fingers toes crossed, that these numbers trend the same all year.
Mhm. Okay, so what do you have for final thoughts on our team right now?
No, final thoughts. I don't see the drop off happening. We are a team of four lines. I guess my one big surprise is, and maybe it's just because he got off to a good start last year when, on a personal note, when we didn't as a team get off to a good start. But Jake Evans has been a little bit slow out of the gate for me this year. He's winning faceoffs and killing penalties, and you can never underestimate the value of that. But he's not scoring goals like he did last year. I think he had 4 or 5 shorthanded goals last year, and those chances I'm sure are going to come. We apparently take a lot of penalties, so he's going to get his time. And you don't want to see me get my hockey stick out and Andrew Shaw my monitor, but again, too many more of those performances that might happen. Yeah. But again, he's a guy who I'd like to see a little bit more offensive upside from. But all things considered, we're trending in the right direction. I'm hoping that we don't suffer any more injuries. Knock on wood, or some substrate of wood. That we can survive this and start to get some of these guys back, and we're in a position. As some of these other teams are suffering, there's going to be guys, and maybe it's Rasmus Anderson or Nazem Kadri out of Calgary that find themselves as trade bait. Do I want to see us add Kadri? That's a whole nother thing on speculation and fantasy trades, and we can maybe dive into that a couple episodes down the road. Fantasy trades, who could be available, and what should we do to get them? And that's nice to dream. But I'm hoping that we trend in the same direction, because it's a good time to be a Habs hockey fan.
Yeah. My final thought, I think I want to touch a little bit on prospects, because we've talked about, the rookies, we got 3 quality rookies, which, that's probably unheard of, that you got 3 rookies, and they're not struggling, Yeah. They are succeeding in the league. Has that ever happened before? I don't know. I don't ever remember hearing about it, but I mean, we've got 100+ years of NHL to compare it to. But I also want to bring up who we got coming up. I mean, we got Michael Hage, who's playing in Michigan, and we got that Alexander Zarovsky guy playing over in Russia that, next year, the year after, they're going to be coming. And you got Fowler. I mean, I joked around on other podcasts and other things, in the comments about, you potentially have Hudson winning rookie last year. You've got Demidov favored to win this year. But look what's coming down the pipeline. You've got, not only do you have Demidov, but you've got Kapanen and Dobesh in the conversation as well. But now you got Hage coming. You got the Zarovsky guy, who they say could be as early as next year playing, and you've got Fowler. You've got a crop of rookies coming up that are top quality. I mean, not potential. We're talking A1 prospects that are going to make a huge difference if their trajectory stays on the path it's on. They're going to make a huge difference on our team in the next few years.
Yeah, and we'll get into that. We'll do this in another episode, because it's where does everyone play, because that's going to be the bigger thing. But we are drafting well. We're developing even better, because you can draft a monkey. If you teach him to play hockey, he's a good monkey. But if you let him sit there, he ain't gonna do shit for you, except for just sit off the side and fling poop and eat bananas all day. And these guys aren't doing that. We're causing shit. We're not flinging it. We're causing it, and the numbers are reflective. So we have guys off to great starts: Suzuki, Caulfield, Demidov offensively, Dobish defensively, Hudson. I mean, we're getting all around contributions, and we're playing good hockey. It's exciting. So
yeah,
looking forward to
for the speed and the balanced attack. It's from top of the line down. Like you got the guys that are supposed to be performing are performing. The guys that are supposed to be eating minutes, they're performing. They're doing what they need to do, and they're making it a team success, not a 1 or 2 player success. On that note, we're gonna go into our trivia answer.
So we talk about streaks. Suzuki 9 games. Believe it or not, the team record is 28 games, and the answer shouldn't surprise you. It is the one and only, the legend himself, Guy Lafleur. 28 games with a point. That was February 1st to April 3rd in 1977, right in the Stanley Cup run,
Mhm.
where these guys were on top of their game, and 28 games. I mean, back then they played a 78 game season, so that's a third of the season. He
Mhm.
had a point in the game in straight games.
Yeah. And he did it at the most important time, into the, the end of the season, into the
Yeah,
playoffs, and into the Stanley Cup. He's not only did he score, but he knew when to score.
yeah, he was. Timing was obviously a key thing for Gee,
Mhm.
and like you say, late in the year, February through April, that's playoff time.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
good for him.
Yeah. And on that note, we're going to conclude today's episode of Behind Enemy Lines. Again, please like, share, comment, subscribe. It helps us with the YouTube algorithms that get us pumped up in the placements. So please help us out and give us a comment. Let us know what you think. Tell us what you want to talk about, what you want to hear.
Drop a line in the comments, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. We'd love to hear from you.